Turn my headphones up. Louder.
All right. We got episode 5 here. We got Jen in the building. I'll let her do most of the introduction, but she is a little pregnant, so I told her before, I politely asked if she could take a shot, and she's not able to take a shot, so I'm taking this one by myself. Again, we're not getting any sponsors yet. I don't know LeBron. I'm going to just finish this Lobos tequila and probably switch to Terramana and shout out to The Rock when I get it. So, Jen, you can take your Zevia, however I say it right. And we're cheers to telling your truth.
Okay.
Thank you for being on this episode. Here we go. Yep. Hey. Okay. At least I politely asked last time.
Yeah, I don't miss that. No.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that story too of me and Jen and alcohol. You're gonna love that one.
Oh God.
All right. Anyway, so some of you guys may know Jen just at the gym or just as Taj's wife, or no one really knows the story behind Jen and who she is. So now we got a platform to give it to the people and let people know who she is. So she is my sister-in-law. She's been a part of my life since 8th grade?
6th grade.
6th grade,
We've known each
middle
other
school.
since 6th grade.
So 6th grade, and then evolution of life, and here we are, 2024. So I guess let the people know you're from small town Sheridan, Wyoming, and then just kind of guide yourself, maybe go through high school and kind of go from there. Or you can let people know how nervous you are and you're not good.
I'm nervous. I don't like talking in front of anyone or being the center of attention. So this is
There we go.
a challenge for me.
There we go. So yeah, grew up in Sheridan, Wyoming. I guess you can talk about your family and then kind of how you maneuvered your way throughout, and I'll help guide you through.
Do I look at the camera?
Yeah, whatever you want to do. You can
okay.
It's super chill. You can look at the camera, you can look at me, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, you're good.
So yeah, I was born and raised in Sheridan, Wyoming, and I loved growing up there. It was a great community. I had wonderful friends. I was always involved in athletics, so
Very cool. I forgot about the athletics. Yep.
Yeah, we stayed active all the time. It's different, I guess, than it is here, but it was fun. And then
What were the sports you played again?
Volleyball and soccer. I loved volleyball, but I felt like I was better at soccer. It just came more natural. I wanted to play in college. I ended up tearing my ACL in high school my senior year, so I had to sit out.
ACL word.
Yeah. So I had to sit out my senior years for both athletics. So that was kind of hard, but it was, it is what it is.
So you wanted to go to college to play
soccer,
and because the ACL you didn't get to.
Yeah, and I tore it playing soccer. I had a lot of injuries with soccer.
You went to Wyoming off rip, right? You didn't do junior. So before you made that decision, did you want to go to Wyoming based off of your scholarship if you got one, or it didn't matter? You just ended up going to Wyoming because you tore your ACL.
Yeah, well, no, I wanted to go to a Colorado school like CSU, CU. I wanted something different. I had never been outside of Wyoming. I wanted to experience something new, and then money came into the picture. Out-of-state tuition was I couldn't afford it. My family couldn't afford it. And so Wyoming has a great program. So I basically got paid to go to school, which was great. So I didn't have student loans. And I got a great education. So it was, Did you know what you wanted to do when you first went there? Were you undeclared? Did you have a business? What is it that you wanted to do? I wanted to go to dental school. So
dental?
I was,
Damn, I didn't even know that.
I was still pre-med. I wanted to go to dental school. I wanted to go to University of Nebraska or Creighton at the time because they were one of the top schools. And I changed my mind. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I thought maybe doing something with forensics, law enforcement, forensic. I didn't want to be a police officer, but going into something like that, I had to be either had a military or a police background. And I didn't want that. And so I chose to stick with pre-med and then did physiology.
So what's pre-med? I'm sorry.
Well, dental, I was kind of like on the same track,
Okay.
like as, pre-med. Like you were taking a lot of the same courses. So I was like, oh, I'll just stick with that. And then chose physiology and had the intentions of going to PA school. So.
And then what's PA school? So people that know that.
It's a physician assistant. It's what your sister does too. I wanted to do something like in pediatrics or like dermatology. And I liked it because instead of being like a doctor, you weren't on call. You had, you had less liability with patients. Like you could still kind of like pick and choose hours. There was a lot more flexibility there instead of med school and cheaper overall. So
yeah, med school is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny story about physiology. When I declared, so you were already in the program, right, before me?
I think so. Well, you were kinesiology.
Yeah, I know, but you were already on your stuff. So from my story, like you guys know, I declared kinesiology when I was like in year 3. So I didn't meet Jen, but I had classes with her, and she actually helped me.
Yeah, kinesiology
tremendously.
And and physiology
classes.
like classes overlapped a lot. So we had like physics, like all of those general classes together, which was nice. Like we knew a lot of people and got to work a lot together.
Yeah, the small town of like Sheridan, basically, if you go to Sheridan, you're going to college, most likely you're going to the University of Wyoming.
Yeah.
And so basically you see all your high school friends go to college, and it's an ultimate party town because you're away from parents. And a lot of people don't know Jen was the ultimate partier.
I had fun.
She is not this shy, quiet girl that everyone knows her as she is now.
No,
I like to have a good time.
I did. I like to have a good time. I like to tell myself that I started young. Like I don't do that now. I got it out early. Got that itch out early. But like I had great college years and I had a lot of fun doing it. So, I mean, I'm not proud of all my moments, but
So a fun moment when I was talking about the shop moment. So I was going to draw you back into that one. So we had the quote unquote party house, but at the time in college, I didn't drink. I was just like the DJ. I was really focused, and I just
the DD who would drive people home.
Designated driver, all that, and everybody always came to our home. I forgot what it was. You just got hammered drunk, as my boy Jimmy Burgess would say.
Yeah.
And the party was always downstairs, and I remember she was pretty like fucked up, and I stood by that couch and I made sure she was okay.
Yeah, I remember going upstairs and sitting on the couch, and he set a trash can next to me, and I couldn't go home. I just laid there and fell asleep, and then
so
got right home the next morning.
That's the
but
alcohol.
I felt safe. It was good.
Alcohol Jen story. So it's cool to let people know that we did have a good time. And then a good transition with that is, I guess let's talk about, since you talked about what you're going to do, what your aspirations were, how did meeting Taj in college come about? Because people really don't know about your guys' story, so that's a good segue into college and meeting Taj.
So Taj and I are 2 years apart, and I knew of like y'all and your family in high school and growing up, and I knew of him because I dated one of his friends in high school. So I would come over to your guys' house and I would see Taj all the time because I dated his friend, but I didn't, there was never really like a friendship or anything there. And then Taj went to school at UNLV, and once he graduated, he came to University of Wyoming and basically volunteered as on the football staff to get some experience. And I met him at a house party at y'all's house, and he had told me that he was planning on moving. He was like, where do you, he was kind of asking me advice on like where to live, what to do, whatever. And then it kind of stopped at that. Like there was nothing. And then we met up, or all of us were out. It was
homecoming week, Nebraska.
No, was it homecoming or was it like a kickoff?
No, it wasn't home. It was just a big ass Nebraska game, I think.
Yeah. And so everyone was downtown, like at Lovejoy. It was at Love. I think at Lovejoy.
Yeah, it was at Lovejoy's.
And yeah, Dose comes in and he's like swooped in and is talking to me. I'm like, this is kind of weird. I feel like Dose is flirting with me. I don't know what to. I was like, this is like my brother. I was like, what's happening? And then here comes Taj. I was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then basically ever since then, like the rest is history. We kept talking. We spent a lot of time like. He was very sweet, took me on dates. Like, we spent a lot of time talking and texting, and I thankfully had an interest in football and sports, and so we connected a lot with that, and yeah, the rest is history.
And we were technically broke. Like, we had no money. Like, Sartaj, he was living with me, right?
Yeah.
He was living with me, and then he was volunteering, so he wasn't getting paid. You guys will know his story eventually. And volunteering, getting paid, and he worked at GNC. That was like his only source of income. And obviously you were in school doing your thing.
Yeah.
Am I tripping? You lived with us at one point. Or no, you were just staying over.
Well, I would stay over at y'all's house sometimes, but I lived with you at one point too. I think it was your last semester of college.
I'm trying to bring this all
like
back.
With Jimmy and Rob and
Tim. So the house when Rob was coming over and it was just me and Sartaj and Rob. You didn't live with us then.
No.
Okay, so we had that place where we were always at, and then we made the move to another home. Man, I'm not blanking out on this. You guys had, which room did you guys have when we moved with Tim, Jimmy, me, and Sartaj, right?
This is kind of weird. This is weird to say it out loud, but it was you, me, and Taj all shared a room. We shared that big room upstairs.
Yeah, but I never was up there.
I mean, it was 2 different beds. Like, you know.
Yeah, I think that was it.
And then Jimmy was upstairs, Tim was upstairs, and then Rob would like sleep on the couch sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that was college.
But you slept on the couch a lot with Rob.
Yeah, me and Rob, we were all, that's my boy best friend, Rob. Shout out to Rob. That's how college was. You just lived with people.
Yeah.
Do you have any other pictures of the helm or anything? Or Sartaj does?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to give those to Aaron so people can understand the how it flowed. And that was a part of my life where I was finally, when I talked about it, I was declared I didn't want to do school anymore, go to physical therapy school. So like that last semester after I finished my electives and stuff, I was just chilling. And it was just me and Rob playing Grand Theft Auto, and these guys were trying to figure life out. And
yeah, I think I was in my I can't remember if it was my last year or last semester of college. Because I also cooked for the football team, the football coaches.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and I cooked for y'all when it was needed. But
thank God we're done with that time.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So we were like finishing our school up and then, doing the coaching thing.
We all, I left, we all left. So what happened after that? You guys went to, I guess talk about what happened after that. Because you were in physiology. You graduated, correct?
Yeah, I graduated.
You and Sartaj had to make a decision, or something happened with Sartaj and Coach C?
Yep. So I graduated with a degree in physiology and like a minor in chemistry. And I didn't know what to do at the time. I decided to work my last semester of college. I cooked for the football coaches, or some of the football coaches, to help make some money. And then Taj got a call in December of 2011 or no, 2014, I think. I don't even know the years, but got a call from Coach C, and he was like, I'm headed to University of Utah. Do you want to come with me?
Yeah, Coach C is Coach Christensen. He was the head coach of the University of Wyoming football. And to educate you Wyoming football fans out there, before you guys became relevant, there was that era, just like how I was in high school, where Wyoming had to be changed. And Dave, if you're listening to this, you changed that fucking culture. You put Wyoming on the map. You got Brett Smith. You got Robert Huron. You put all these guys into Wyoming, made Wyoming Nike, sick-ass uniforms. You got pictures of all that too, right?
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
So she's got the pictures of all that. So shout out to Coach C. You were a very disciplined, hard-earning individual where Taj had to get your respect, even myself. But looking back at it now, we appreciate your leadership and how you operated things. So please, University of Wyoming, give that man credit, because Wyoming would not have seen Josh Allen or any of these guys if Coach C didn't put that next jump before the jump. So yeah, shout out to Coach C. So Coach C called Taj. I think I remember I was in the fucking living room during Christmas break, and then what happened?
And then Taj was like, I'm going to go. And I was like, okay. And he asked me to go with him. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I didn't have a job. I didn't even have a job really at the time at the university. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So, and University of Utah has like a great medical program too. So I was like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to get some rotations out of the way. I'm going to keep working towards my hours towards PA school. Because right out of college, I applied for PA school and I didn't get in.
Because of GPA, or how does that work for PA school?
You have to have a certain amount of like working experience hours. And I didn't quite have enough. For some schools I did. But like the average age for a PA, I think getting into school is like late 20s. And I was just graduated at 22, whatever. And so they just wanted to see like more experience. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go there. I'm going to work for the hospital. I'm going to gain, some more hours, see.
So when you were doing that, what was your role at the hospital? And were you making money, or was that considered volunteer work?
Well, I did both. So I did, I worked in a chemistry lab. So whenever like anyone goes to get their blood drawn, I didn't draw the blood, but I would do all the testing for what you would need for that. So I worked in a chemistry lab, and I did like if you were toxic in mercury or all those high toxicity levels, I did that. But in the meantime, I also did rotations with, like OBGYN and pediatrics, and all of that to gain hours as well.
And then at that time, Sartaj was still a volunteer. Was he making money?
No, he was, it's like stipend. So it's still, nothing.
Yes.
He was considered a GA, which is a graduate assistant. So you're going to school and you're coaching and you're getting paid like, it was like $1,200 a month or something like that. Like you're just getting stipend for.
I bring that up because I want people, when they're listening to this, I want people to understand the sacrifice and like dedication it takes to get like to the ultimate dream. Like a lot of people in today aren't willing to sacrifice time, money, hours. So like all of us were living on bare minimum, check to check, even if check to check in the negative. Obviously we had family and stuff to help us, but for the most part that transition from Wyoming to Utah was scary, right?
Yeah, it was a hard transition. I mean, when I started out at University of Utah, like I wasn't making a lot. I didn't have a job when I moved there, so it was hard for us to get an apartment. We lived in low income housing. I mean, in a safe area, but it was, it took a lot for us to get going. And then once I started working at the hospital, I made a lot more money. So it was enough to like provide for the both of us, basically.
How long were you guys in Utah?
3 years. I don't know. Taj knows timelines more than I do. So I want to say close to 3 years.
Okay, so 3 years. And then how did Houston?
I think it was 2014 and then 2017 was when we came to Houston.
So how did Houston come about? How did that conversation go? What really happened with that? Do you remember?
So Taj can explain more, but in the coaching world, everyone gets hired and fired like crazy. So there was some movement at the University of Utah. Taj didn't know if he wanted to stay or what was going to happen. And so he came to Houston. And
that was because did Coach Z leave?
Yes.
Okay, guys.
I believe he went to ASU at that point.
So his mentor departed and he wasn't able to take him, correct? Or
correct.
offer him something.
Yeah, he wasn't in a role that, or a spot that could take him.
So he had to either risk it and stay with the team and lose his position because new people were coming in, because that was his OC, right?
Yeah, there was a possibility of like him losing his position. And it wasn't an environment, I guess, where we loved Utah. Utah's beautiful, but like just being there at certain points, we didn't know if it was a good fit for us anyways.
Okay.
So.
Do you remember how the Houston conversation came about?
I don't really, but I know that you were here and you had said like, hey, come,
Yeah, so I was back on episode 1. I was talking about how Taj came about was because he was working out with the coaches, doing my workouts with all the coaches. So he had the knowledge in that, and he had passion and training. Like we always loved training, and we're all about it. So I think when that happened, I talked to my boss at the time, and I said, well, shit, if I'm sending you these workouts and we could use some help, would you want to come to Houston and train athletes? I think the pitch was, I was working with Andre Johnson at the time, and Arian and these other guys, and Owen Daniels. I said, well, you're great at the receiving concept. We don't need a receiving coach when you can go out in the field work and do other stuff, but I can't guarantee anything. We can try to get you some money and go from there. So it was basically a leap of faith, right?
Yeah. And I didn't move here right away.
Okay.
Taj came, I think, like in January, and he was going to feel it out. See, like because he had goals and aspirations to be a coach.
Yes.
And so he was like
the Texans.
Maybe I should go.
Texans?
Yeah, he should like maybe I should go on with the Texans, and he met Bill O'Brien, and I mean, we had connections, to all of that. But he was like, coaching, the work-life balance it's like none. So you're constantly working, you're constantly on the road, you're missing your families, your kids, And so he was like, if I work with Dose, like my work-life balance is a lot more stable. Whereas if I'm a coach, it's always stress. And so he was deciding whether or not he wanted to do that.
And since you said that, reminded me. So he was staying at my apartment at the time. I was paying like $700 a month for. It was pretty ghetto, and I remember we had a flood situation. He was sleeping downstairs on the couch. Obviously, I was upstairs, and all of his shit got destroyed. And if you know about Houston water, like you had to immediately wash that. And my washer at the time was with quarters, and I had to go outside and do it. So it was just like, it just brought me back to a funny story when he was here. And fucked up all of his clothes, and the washer, I had to pay quarters, and the washer was ghetto. Anyways, that was a fucking part of my life. So what was it that he ultimately decided to come to Houston, and how was your thoughts? Were like, okay, fuck, I'm coming to Houston, or I'm coming because of Sartaj, or I'm confident in this, or what? Or you were like, I don't want to go to Houston?
Well, we were engaged and had been married at the time. We had just gotten married.
Shit, I skipped over that part. My bad.
That's okay. No, we had just gotten married in 2016. So I was a supportive wife.
Okay.
I wanted to. I know he had dreams of doing things, and I totally believed in him that he could do anything. So it really wasn't a question to me. It didn't feel like a good fit in Utah, anyways, and so. Here has a great medical program. I thought I could just, transfer over and do medicine and work somewhere in the medical field. And then, but yeah, Taj ultimately decided that he wanted to work with you, that he could still fulfill his dreams by, working with athletes and not having the stress of coaching. So.
And so when you came here, what was your job? What did you end up doing?
So my job at the hospital, I worked 7/7. So I worked 7 days on, 7 days off. And which worked out with Taj and I's schedule because he was always traveling and working for coaching. But that meant I worked like 70 to 80 hour weeks. And during my off weeks, Taj was also working. So I would pick up shifts, and I basically got burnt out working in medicine. And so I was like, I'm going to come here. I'm going to see what happens. And I got a part-time job with Lululemon, and I loved it. It was just like for holiday pay. And I was like, I'm going to just see how this goes. And I'm going to keep applying to medical positions and kind of go from there. And I did a few interviews, and there was this one interviewer who wanted to hire me in this chemistry lab. And he basically told me, he goes, I'll hire you if you want to, but he basically told me, like, you deserve better. And I, like, looked at him and I was like, what? Okay. And so I, like, went away from that, and I felt like that was my sign to, I deserved better, and I was either needed to apply to PA school, or that I needed to try something different, like challenge myself in something different, or to, like, completely, like, forget about it. So I turned down the job, and yeah, I stuck with Lululemon, and then our whole story came about, basically.
Shout out to Lululemon.
Yeah.
And honestly, yeah, well, even just with her job, like, for Khango and pre-Khango, Lululemon has been a huge supporter of us in the training industry and the fitness space. Tremendous. And you've met some of your close friends now.
Oh, yeah. I've been with the company for 7 years, and I mean, I can't leave. Like, it's a great, like, culture and community to work with.
So how was your transition to Houston? Were you happy to be here? Was it tough on you? Was it?
Yeah, it was tough first because at 9, like, y'all weren't making much money either. I was working part-time, so my salary pay at the hospital, you know, was no longer there. So it was financially tougher. And then, and then I started working full-time and picking up some jobs here and there. But yeah, it was harder.
And then, obviously you were a part of it. And again, we told the story, but it's good to always hear the other side of someone else's emotions when something like that happens. When we were kicked out of that space and you know, Taj was telling you what was going on. What was your thought process? Were you scared again? Like, oh, fuck, we're going to have to move. We're not going to have money. What was kind of going through your mind as being a wife at that time?
I mean, those thoughts definitely run through your head. You're like I think it's anger first. Like, you hate what happened. You're pissed, you know, like, why do people have to act this way? Like, they're toying with people's lives, you know? And so but at the same time, I thought it was the biggest blessing in disguise. I felt like y'all were ready anyways to step away. Like, it was just that feeling of, like, being ready to step away and do our own thing. And this just gave us, like, that push to do it. So, of course, it's scary, but it was, you know, we were ready.
Okay, and that's great to segue into, you know, people always look at me and get like, I'm the angry guy, and Dose is always talking about people that kind of screwed him over and stuff. But, like, what I want people to understand is these people that did that to us wasn't just fucking with me. They were fucking with my family and my livelihood. So I guess give a little bit, it doesn't have to be too detailed, but a little insight of understanding, like, how I said these people left us hanging. You can attest to getting the lawyer stuff drawn up, me spending money, you spending money, and doing that. I guess kind of talk about that and those emotions and that whole process of what you remembered.
Yeah, it's hard because I have, like, a different perception of it now. But at the time, it's so frustrating when you're trying to get support from other people and you're trying to move in a direction, but you're not getting any, like, action from people. You just hear people talking to you and being like, yes, I'll do this or I'll do that. And you believe in them. Like, they tell you that they believe in you and they, you know, want to see you succeed and do all these things. And then there's nothing that comes from it. So it was like frustrating, to say the least.
Yeah. And I would always be calling them like, this is going to happen. Today's going to happen. I promise. Yeah. Because they were waiting on me. Like, what's the move with the game plan? I said, well, this person's going to be there. This person's going to be there. And every time I said it was going to happen, we were just left for hanging.
Yeah. And I think it gave us, like, the biggest lesson that you, like, can't rely on other people to do what, like, your dreams are. Like, you have to, like, do it yourself, believe in yourself. And ultimately that's what we went with. And it worked out. So segue into how did it become, you know, your role into helping,
I guess, us adapt to making Khango official? What was, like, your role? Like, because what people don't understand is like, none of us knew how to do this. I didn't know the ins and outs of how to start a business or how to go get a banknote or the finance side, your mom is on the finance side, right?
Yeah, my mom's a banker. So like I'm a type A type person. I love numbers. I was good at math, chemistry, like that kind of stuff. But I didn't go to school for business. I don't know how to start a business. I didn't know how to be an entrepreneur or how to write a business plan, but I knew how to do the research to do it. Like I love learning. I love, like challenging my brain to like do new things. And so it was like a no-brainer to me. I was like, of course, like we can make this work. So we wrote up a business plan. We spoke to a bunch of different people. We went to the bank. Mm-hmm. We proposed our stories. We talked to attorneys. Yep. We put in, a bunch of money that we didn't have. And yeah, we just put all of our, eggs in one basket.
Yeah. And it was all a team effort. And I really, in my head, I looked at it as like, it's my responsibility to go get the clients and get the money and make, all that stuff. And I leaned on you guys to take care of the other stuff. That's really how the relationship worked. I needed Sartaj and Jen to figure out the legalities, work our network resources, get the help, and get this loan with the bank and make sure we're not getting fucked over with interest rates and stuff like that. And I think that's where a lot of your knowledge through your parents and just in general helped a lot to make sure. And we had a lot of help along the way in getting that banknote. So that's how Khango started, right? Yeah.
Well, and it was kind of a hard time too, because we were also like heading into COVID.
Oh yeah.
At the time. So we had like a lot of setbacks also, but and
it was real sticky too, because I was making money through the post oak. So
yeah, well, I guess in the in-between time, because we were kicked out of the gym, and I guess that's why COVID kind of worked in our favor, was because they were already doing house calls, working out of houses, out of the hotel, the rooftop, like.
So it was random. So I would get a pay stub from the post oak, okay? And half of that went to Mr. Fertitta because of the business transaction. So now I have to get that paycheck, send it to you guys, and whatever Sartaj was making via Venmo, via Zelle, via cash, a separate thing, and get it to her. And it was their job to make sure that money went into the account via savings, and we still got paid. So it's like, she's not an accountant. We just used our resources of people. Hey, how do we go about this? We were starting to get an X amount of money. Like, what the fuck do we do with it?
Right.
And that was the process to that. But that was the biggest blessing, because we're making all this money. All that money was able to get us the reputation to go into a banknote. And that's how that came about, right? Yeah. So without that process, we don't even get the banknote, because we were building credibility, but we had money coming from that person, this transaction. It was so sloppy.
Yeah, it was coming from everywhere. I mean, it was all in one pot, but it was just from every direction. And
we had closed retail at the time. Yeah. That was a whole different. So now we're getting another source of money. So it was more on Sartaj and Jen. I always tell them, don't fuck up the budget. Like, I'll bring it. Just make sure you guys handle that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, then that's how Khango came about. Got the banknote. Definitely helped with that. And a lot of people know about the story of Khango now. I guess what I'd like to talk about is the role, I guess, going into Khango, how you felt about that, and then some adversity that you hit kind of during all that. I think I didn't get to talk about it before with your best friend, that part of your adversity and how that kind of motivated you, and then you had another situation kind of all happening during that process, correct?
Well, I don't know dates here, but my friend Katie, who you're referring to, she passed away in 2018 from triple negative breast cancer. And she was one of my best friends. I knew her since 6th grade. And I think that her not being there, like, I mean, for the people who can't be here, you live through them almost. And so it was like, if she can't be here, like, I got to do something with my life to, like, that represents her. And like, she was fierce. She was a hard worker. She was a beautiful person inside and out. She was kind. So I was like, I have to try and emulate that and continue that legacy for her.
That was 2018.
That was 2018. Yeah.
That was such a weird year because all that shit happened to us. I brought that up. I wanted to bring that up because I always talk about people what drives you, what motivates you, and I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, that is something that is in your bloodline or something that if you want to give up or like stuff that's going on in your life, you remember to be fierce. And
yeah, she's a huge motivator for me and so many other people. So it's, on challenging days, it's what gets me through for sure.
Yeah, so now we're, we love you, Katie, and I can't talk too much about it. She's my friend too. I know I'm going to get emotional, so I just wanted to bring that up because everybody goes through adversity. I know they see us as like the adversity people and pushing through, but I've never lost a best friend, so that's something that's hard to do. So rest in peace, Katie. We love you. So Khango, up and running. I guess maybe just take us through the first year, how you felt about it. Everything was kind of flowing. Did you feel any stress on your end? Like, am I responsible for things?
Yeah, I felt very responsible for a lot of things. Like, I was responsible for the budget. I knew that y'all could do your thing. Like, we had proven ourselves before we even had a gym with 4 walls, So I wasn't so much worried about that, but there's just a lot more pressure on yourself when you actually have a rent to pay and you have the water bill and you have all of the, employees to pay. And so you're like, yeah, there's a lot of pressure here. I don't think any of us had the mindset though of like, what if this fails?
No.
Like
it was more of just like, how do we get everybody paid without fucking up the budget and still being able to grow?
Yeah. So I like never had that mindset, but it was always like, okay, we got to get this, to our goal no matter what.
Yeah. And I think the best part about that was it the first year we were able to give everybody bonuses?
Yeah. We profited our first month and we've profited ever since then. So
yeah. And I think that's like the biggest reward. What I'm getting at is like, none of us knew how to do this. Like, you weren't supposed to be running a quote unquote business. Sartaj wasn't supposed to be doing this. I wasn't. I was just supposed to be a trainer. Like, we were all thrown into this thing, and it's like, it comes back to the will to succeed. Like, no matter what we were going to do, we were going to succeed. And it didn't matter the obstacles, and that goes back to like, how bad do you want it? And fortunately enough, by the great community of Houston, we've built tremendously, and I take pride in it that every year, especially in December, we're able to give everybody bonuses and raises now, and now we're able to do health insurance. So like, these are the small wins that we're able to do, and that's for all of us too. Right. It helps us so much.
Well, and it provides more for our community of people too. Like, we're able to provide more equipment or a bigger space or something along those lines. Like, we're able to, if we're successful in doing what we do, like, we're able to give back to our people. So
yeah, and I think that's a great segue into, since you guys went to Wyoming, to Utah,
to Houston,
to apartment, to thank God life's going good. And I'm just going to bring this up too, because it's first time home buyers. Again, here you are, not knowing shit. Now you guys got to buy a home, wanting to start a family.
Right.
I guess go through that part for a woman and just a partner in searching for a home in the Houston market, some adversity that you happen in starting a family, and kind of go from there, and then we can kind of segue through.
COVID hit 2020. We had setbacks for the gym, and then we opened December 2020. Taj and I, we were doing good with the gym. We felt comfortable, like, moving forward, personally, with our, like, personal goals. And so, we decided to look for a home. We did not get approved for anything, or it was like a very small loan, and we like kept working at it. And we eventually got to a point where we could start looking again. And, we got into the housing market like right before it spiked up. thankfully. So we, it's kind of weird how we found our home. I fell in love with this home that's actually like right around the corner here, and someone outbid us, and I was like, dang, like the market was like crazy then, and so I was like, dang, like I was so upset. Taj was like, it's okay, there's so much more out there. We ended up having to wait like 3 months, but down the line we were looking at a house closer to where we are now, and around the corner they were doing construction. And it was the same flipper that did the house over here that I had originally fallen in love with. And our realtor was like, this may be out of your price range, but let's just go in and talk to him. We talked to him. We fell in love with it. We fell in love with his vision. We were like, okay, let's do this. And like, it just felt like it almost had fallen into place. And it just kind of like fell in our lap that way. But it like took a lot to get there. It wasn't just overnight. But it just goes to show that like patience and like taking your time with things, like good things do come from it. And it worked out even better in the end. So yeah, so we signed on our new house, and we have a beautiful home that we love now, and it just all worked out.
So becoming a first-time homeowner and now starting a family.
Yes.
And you were, how would you phrase that? Considered unsuccessful at that time? Just from a woman's standpoint, if you would like to speak about that when you guys first had your, how would you call that?
Starting a family?
Yeah.
So, I had a miscarriage my first pregnancy, and I think that was, I mean, it was obviously hard at the time. Yeah. So, and being like my first pregnancy, it brought on a lot of fear getting pregnant again. Because you're always like, okay, as a woman, like, what if I can't get pregnant? What if I can't carry this baby? You know, it's something that Taj and I had always wanted. So there's like a lot of like that fear that like seeps in. But we had a great doctor who like had reassured us that no, like, you guys are young, you're healthy, like this is okay. And yeah, we got pregnant right before we moved into our new house, and now we have Kano.
Goddamn Kano.
Yeah, so he's our little rainbow baby. Yeah. He's a blessing.
And then you have one more on the way,
and
correct?
I got another one on the way. So...
I bring that up because what I want, you know, as we close this out, what I want people to understand is there was a lot of firsts.
Yeah.
There was a lot of firsts, and there was a lot of things that you weren't prepared for in school. You weren't prepared for in life. You had to figure it out.
Yeah. It was just a matter of, I think it's just having the mentality of like, if you really want it, like you have the will to try and succeed, like it'll happen. And
yeah. And it through every obstacle, as you can tell, they always had the mentality of what's next and the positivity. So it's, I'm extremely grateful because, you know, we're here as a family now, to seeing where we were in college, to what we've created now, and now going into, again, buying a home, starting a family, having a family, running a business, now running another business, Khango Subs on the way. Running another business, having another child. So I just think it's admirable in what we do and just our level of perseverance to push through and go after what we want.
For sure.
Is there anything else that you want to let the viewers know, or what you feel, thought?
No, I mean, I feel like then I was so much different. Like becoming a mom has changed me for the better, but it was like probably out of all the adversity I've ever faced, like being a mom has been the most challenging part of all of it. And I think a lot of it is just, I mean, a lot of it's probably hormones, a lot of it's, you know, just like the body's, you know, what your body goes through, like all of that. But I think that being a mom has taught me a lot about adversity and not comparing yourself to others. Like I felt like, I always say comparison's the thief of joy. And so And that goes with anything in life. If you're comparing your body to other people's bodies, or if you're comparing like what someone has and what you don't, like I feel like it just takes away so much joy of what you could experience. And being a mom, you question yourself, like, am I doing this right? Especially first time mom. You're like, am I doing this right? Am I giving him everything he needs? Like, you want so much for them that you're like, okay, it's not what this person's doing. It's not what this. And you kind of lose sight of like the present moment. And so I think motherhood has just really taught me to be present and just living through that moment.
I know people talk about the second child. Are you more confident, more worried, or is it just like, fuck it, it's whatever, we're going to have another one, it doesn't matter, like we already went through the hard part?
Yeah, I'm definitely more confident. I'm a little scared for 2, because that means like Taj and I need to divide and conquer. Whereas like before, it's just the 3 of us, and Taj and I could do everything with Kano. So I think that's a little scary going into that, but I feel like we're giving him the best gift that we can, another brother. And I mean, you know what it's like to have another brother. So
I was just about to say, can you believe that Umi had 6 of us?
No.
Can you imagine having 6 kids?
No.
And all of our personalities, trying to raise all of them?
No.
Feed them with our appetite?
No.
Clothes that we like?
Yeah.
The cars?
I mean, one is hard enough.
The rims, the exhaust,
yeah.
the fights.
Yeah. It's insane.
Damn, 6 kids. Shout out to our mom. 6 kids. Fuck. But yeah, with that being said, thank you for coming on. Again, this is all about telling your truth, showing vulnerability. As you can tell, we all didn't know what we wanted to do. I wanted to be an FBI agent. You wanted to go into something with a crime. What was it again?
Well, I wanted dentistry, and then I wanted to do something in forensics.
To being a football, what's that called? A player's wife? No, what's it called?
Coach's wife?
Coach's wife. Being a coach's wife, cooking meals, watching the games on Sunday, to moving to Houston, to working at a lab, to Lululemon.
Starting a business
Yeah. That we had no clue on how to do it. So go after it. I'm going to end it with the non-sponsor Lobos Tequila. You can go back to your, however you say that, because I enjoy them. As you know, this is Dwight Manfredi chilling on the pod. And follow, like, and subscribe. Sly is asleep because Jen, your story apparently was so boring to him. So fuck you, Sly.
No, it's my sweet voice that puts him to sleep.
And put this back on. Shout out to Dwight Manfredi. Thank you for coming on, Jen. I appreciate you. I look forward to the next, what is this, 2024? These next 4 years is all about push with Khango Sups and taking over and your next child.
Well, you're stuck
and
with
my
me
nephew.
for a lifetime,
yeah,
basically.
And lifetime. And the next, my next nephew. So cheers. Thank you for coming on. Follow, like, subscribe. Jen, what's your handle if you care?
My Instagram?
Yeah.
At Jen_Khango.
There you go. And if you don't like it, we got 2 words for you.
Suck it.
Hey!